İyi akşamlar arkadaşlar. Evet. Kimde yayın? Okey, hadi başlayalım. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday evening. Once again on our YouTube channel here. If you're interested in Wisdom of Kabbalah, you can always visit our website, www.kabbalah.info, and check out the Wisdom of Kabbalah. And if you like it, you can always join like-minded people from around the world, and there's probably someone in your country too. In the interim, we're going to carry on our YouTube channel, adding articles as we go on, and also on our YouTube channel here, you can find semester 1, 2, 3, and kind of get the basics and see how you go. So we're going to start with the miracle of spirituality with these articles, selected excerpts. Am I correct? And we're starting from the beginning. Okay. So the miracle of spirituality, as you know, we're only talking about the authentic wisdom of Kabbalah here on our YouTube channel. So let's go. The miracle of spirituality. We'll go one by one from selected excerpts. If you have any questions, you can shoot them through as usual. This is from Rav Kook. Each one should know and understand that within him burns a candle. That is, candle is not as his friend's candle, and there's no person who has no candle. Each one should know and understand that he must toil to reveal the candle to everyone, and to light it into a great torch and to illuminate the whole world. Okay, I think we did this last week. No, I remember reading it last week. Okay, in any case, it doesn't matter. We can go over it again. Basically, this means that we all have a dot in the heart. So every living person has something that's connected in them to spirituality, to our root. And what's really important is to really awaken that and to connect it with everybody else's so that we can actually feel as a whole, as a complete creation. And I think this is what we're having issues with all around the world as we feel more and more separated due to our egoistic nature, which we cannot overcome. It seems apparently at the moment. And since we can't overcome it, we're all separated. And that's really causing a lot of grief to everybody in the world. But the only way to overcome this is what Rav Kook is talking about, is to really discover that inner point, which is really yearning for the purpose of life and to connect it in a positive way with everybody else above our egoism. Let's take a look at Rabash, article number 9. This is the second excerpt. Each of them had a spark of love of others, but the spark could not ignite the light of love to shine in each. So they agreed that by uniting, the sparks would become a big flame. Now, we're all one little speck. So as an individual, we don't really matter much. But when we all come together, every individual matters a lot. And I think that's what we all need to understand, that individually, life doesn't really give us a lot of opportunity to really do anything. Really, we need society, we need family, we need someone to raise us, educate us, look after us. We can't just be born and have a life of our own. And I think we're also, as humanity, suffering a lot from it. As also, there's now a new sickness called loneliness. And we can see from medical research that loneliness can really cause a lot of illnesses in a person, can really make a person sick. So we can also see in nature that life doesn't want us to be alone. Life wants us to be in a good connection with everybody else. And I think this connection is what we need to build. And that's what Rabash is saying. That's what every Kabbalist is saying. We need to complement and complete each other rather than abuse each other due to our, egoistic nature, and where we can find wherever we can find a weakness with somebody else, we seem to kind of abuse them and use them. And this is how the world is going round and round for thousands of years. And this is why we're in a big mess as humanity, and we can never seem to be happy in life. This is another excerpt from Rabash. A miracle implies something that a person cannot obtain. That is, it is impossible for one to obtain it unless through a miracle from above. Only in this way is it called a miracle. Now, this is also necessary for us to understand what a miracle is in the wisdom of Kabbalah. A miracle basically means us having a new nature, basically changing ourselves, becoming someone completely different or opposite, let's say, to our egoistic nature. And if we don't become something different, on top of our egoistic nature, you'll see that you can see actually from history, and as we go forward in life, we can see that all we're facing are just life's calamities. And there's really no getting out of this mess until we change our nature. And that change in our nature is the miracle that they're talking about. Okay, this is important to understand because we cannot change our nature. So here, basically, by creating a positive connection between us, we allow a positive connection with the higher force of nature. Okay, you can call it God, creator, light, doesn't matter, energy, doesn't matter what we call it. The important thing to understand here is that together, when we're connecting, we can tap into that force which is in nature. And that way we can complement each other and, have a much connected and happy and fruitful life rather than, going through this mess all the time. One mess after another, as you can see. All right, so the miracle there is the outcome of that connection. Rabash. This is another one from Rabash. Hanukkah was a spiritual miracle, and in spirituality we must ask what, or we do not feel the miracle. This is why they said, what is Hanukkah? So that each one will ask about the miracle of spirituality, meaning so as to first know the meaning of spiritual exile and then be able to be granted spiritual redemption. And because of it, we should divulge it publicly, to make everyone interested. Otherwise, we do not feel the exile or the redemption. So Rabash is saying here, rightly, it's not enough for a group of people to move forward in spirituality. It is necessary for everyone to be elevated, okay? Because if they're not elevated, they're just going to be miserable in life. The reason we're miserable in life is because we're not elevated above our human nature. And it's easy to understand, really, because our common nature, our natural nature, is a desire to receive pleasure. So we're always running around trying to, get some pleasure inside of us. We're just trying to stuff ourselves like a turkey with pleasure. Okay. However, in life, we see that doesn't really work out because desires and pleasures, they cancel each other out. So what humanity finds itself is it's constantly running after desires, trying to fulfill itself, but we will never and ever succeed simply because of this short circuit between the desire and the pleasure. And this short circuit is there's no getting around it. There's no getting around it. What we have to do is understand that we cannot directly fulfill ourselves. We cannot directly go and get things for ourselves and expect life to work out. Because if everybody did that, they'd be doing it at the expense of others, right? So, for example, if I want to get rich, if I want to have power and so on, whatever I want, you have to understand that anything which is beyond my necessity needs to take it from somebody else. Okay, so the world is enough for everyone, but if everybody is taking more than they need, then we're going to run into a bit of a problem, aren't we? Because that means we're causing harm to everybody else. And because we're causing harm to everybody else, that harm comes back to us as well. Because how can I be happy if everybody else is unhappy. So if everybody is running after their own fulfillment at the expense of others, I'm trying to make myself happy, but everybody else around me is becoming unhappy because of the way I'm behaving, and because of everybody else behaving the same way. We're all turning into this, our life becomes this tug of war. Everybody's pulling on the rope, and everybody's pulling on towards themselves in a different direction, and we're all ending up in a mess. So we have to understand that spirituality requires a group of people with a common understanding that they want to change. Okay, and this is really important, because then we can work with that common understanding. And if we're not in that common understanding, we can't really work with the people on the outside, simply because they're not in that direction. This is why, to understand how far I am from spirituality, or how close, I need some measuring tool. And that measuring tool really is the society that I'm studying with. All right, any questions up to now? How are we going? There is one question. Okay, let's check it out. Okay, Isoke is asking, how does a person overcome the crippling effects of loneliness in life? Well, that's really a nice question. For that, we really need to build good connections, don't we? I mean, the only way to avoid loneliness is to have good connections with like-minded people who have a common goal. Other than that, that's how it is. Also, it's a problem. We also, on the one hand, we want to be alone. Okay. On the other hand, we don't want to be alone. Why? Because when we're with other people all the time, it's a drama trying to fulfill everybody. Okay. And then if you're on your own, then it's a problem, because then, it becomes a really psychological issue for everyone. This is why, if people want to be happy, they need to be around people who have the same kind of understanding. That we need to be above our own individualistic desires, and we need to just basically connect in a good way to be happy. This is an understanding we all have to come to, and if we don't have that understanding, it's very, very difficult. This is why a lot of relationships don't work out, right? So people come together, but they're still in their egoistic nature, and they don't understand their egoists. And because they're not working on their ego and nullifying themselves against the other person, it all starts, with fireworks and stuff. People come together and saw neon lights all over the place. And then afterwards, you see it's all, turning into sorrow, because everybody wants the flame, but, nobody wants to get burnt. So it's a bit of a drama. It's a bit of a drama. So we need a community with like-minded people who are willing to give up from their egos. If the Creator didn't create us to be alone, how can we justify the Creator in that state? Well, look, we can't really justify the Creator in any state until we look at life from the same perspective, from the same glasses as He is looking at it. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a parent until I have children. So I don't understand why parents were, giving me aggro, getting me to go to school, causing me to do or forcing me to do a bunch of chores and stuff in the house, all that kind of stuff. Well, we don't know why they were pushing us to do that. But when we become parents, we understand that that's the right thing to do, because otherwise, how's the kid going to look after himself when he grows up? And that's how you start at home, with this education. And this is how we need to think of it, until we, connect between ourselves, and we attain some kind of a higher understanding, a higher level of consciousness. We can't justify the Creator. There's no justifying the Creator until it's all over, basically, because every new degree in spirituality is starts with darkness. So you can't really justify the Creator. Okay. You can only justify them after it's all over. So it's something we need to work on. Rightio. Okay, so I'm going to carry on here with excerpt number 5. This is from Rabash as well. A person must believe that he has a point in the heart, which is a spark that shines. That spark gives him no rest. That is, as a corporeal spark cannot illuminate. But using the spark, a person can light up things, so that through the things that the spark touches, a great fire can ignite. Likewise, the spark within man's heart cannot shine, but that spark can light up his actions, so they will illuminate because the spark pushes him to work. All right, this is another nice way of looking at things from Rabash. Once we start studying spirituality, well, once we actually start looking around to discover the meaning of life, to find out why we're living, what's the meaning of life, and so on. Once we start getting into that mode, then, you know, it's already a different you. You know, the day you start searching for the meaning of life and your life before that, it's quite different. And what we have to do basically is to enlarge, to grow that dot in the heart, because it doesn't grow on its own. It requires us to do some work. And the work can only be done if I know, you know, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to work in an environment. This is why if a person is looking for spirituality and is engulfed in the swamp of corporeality, in the outside life, among others who are seeking corporeal things, he just can't find any fulfillment. He just can't find anyone to connect with. So in order for us to grow the dot in the heart, this little spark, into a fire, into a flame, we have to have a zone where we can put some effort in. Okay, and that effort is always going to be connecting with others. This is why finding like-minded people to connect with is very, very crucial. We also understand how crucial it is in life, don't we? We're always looking for good friends in life. Why is that? Because if I have good friends, I have a good outcome in my life. If I have bad friends, I'm going to get myself into trouble. So we're always choosing an environment according to our needs, according to what we want to, you know, really satisfy and so on. So same with spirituality, no real difference. Excerpt number 6. Okay, so let's see. Let's go. We've got next excerpt number 6. This also from Rabash. A person having to light up to do things until the flame rises by itself, and not by a person's own strength. Thus, by itself means by the power of the Creator. There you go. So we need an outside force that will light us up. Now, we can't change ourselves. We already talked about that. The Creator created us, so only He can change us. But we have to kind of display some kind of desire for that. Okay, I can't just, you know, sit on the sofa and expect, I don't know, my mum to bring me a chocolate cake. Okay, so I have to ask for it. I've got to demand for it. Say, hey, you got any chocolate cake in the house? Blah, blah, blah. You know, I've got to like kind of flutter the feathers a little bit. So this is how it is with this situation as well. On our own, we can't really do it. So we need an environment that's going to kind of like allow us to work so that I can have this flame. Okay, so a spark is just a small desire, but I need a big desire, and a very, very big desire for spirituality. Because spirituality means the Creator wants to give us everything. How can I have everything if I just have a little desire? So this has to grow. And the only way to grow our desire to change or desire to have a second nature is by working with others. And if we do that, then we have a vessel which can receive the light. Okay, and that's the important thing there. right. You guys let me know if there are any questions. Okay, so we're going to move forward to excerpt number 7. Each gift, this is from Rabash as well, from letter number 40. Each gift that he gives to his friend is like a bullet that makes a hollow in the stone. And although the first bullet only scratches the stone, then the second bullet hits the same place. It already makes a notch, and the third one makes a hole. And through the bullets that he shoots repeatedly, the hole becomes a hollow in his friend's heart of stone, where all the presents gather, and each gift becomes a spark of love until all the sparks of love accumulate in the hollow of that stony heart and become a flame. The difference between a spark and a flame is that where there is love, there is open disclosure, meaning a disclosure to all the people that the fire of love is burning in him. And the fire of love burns all the transgressions one meets along the way. All right, this is really nice. So we can actually cover all the problems that we have between us if we treat each other with love and understanding. And this is what we all need. A bit of patience, and we need to show this love to the other person. The more love we show to others, and we do this mutually in our society, then obviously the more we're going to have enlightenment, we're going to have an elevated spirit that will want to do things, okay, that will want to kind of like grow ourselves and change ourselves, and will also be really inspired by the others. So we'll receive a lot of inspiration, and that inspiration will give us also the fuel to do more. Because if we're all in an environment where we care for each other, we're all going to end up happy. And the happier we are, the more energetic we're going to be in order to do more things. And the more we do, the more we can do. Okay, so it's like a nice little storm of love that's brewing up. If everybody treats each other in a way that's helpful, supportive, and then we can actually all have a great environment where we can grow in. Okay, so if a person has a stony heart, like he says here in the article, we shouldn't just give up on that person. Just constantly show that we care about. Okay, because things take time, and because we're all egoists and we're all in our egoism and this little crust of egoism that we have, it's very difficult to crack that shell and to really touch a person. So what we want to really do is to do our best to constantly make an effort. And the more effort we make, obviously, the more successful we can be. Right? And if everybody does a little bit, then we can all be successful. It doesn't take a lot to make somebody happy. So if we all do a little bit, then everybody can just, turn this place into a real cozy, cozy Christmas fireplace kind of place. All right, whatever you guys want to describe to yourselves. All right, this is number 8, Rabash article. By faith above reason, one can come to feel the greatness of the Creator, as well as depict to himself the greatness of the Creator. When a person feels the greatness of the Creator, he is like a candle before a torch, annulled before him. All right, so faith above reason. By faith above reason, one can come to feel the greatness of the Creator. Well, this is always a question. What is faith above reason? What do we have to do? What is this thing that we all have to work on called faith above reason? Well, we can keep it rather simple. It means I just stop worrying about my egoistic desires and think about helping the friends. That's it. Okay, so if you want to go above reason, stop thinking about what you want. Start thinking about what the friends would like. When a person feels the greatness of the Creator, he's like a candle before a torch, annulled before him. Why? Because it's such a nice feeling, you want to annul yourself, because the only thing that's getting in the way of you feeling the creator is your egoistic nature. So if we felt the creator, we would immediately want to annul ourselves. Okay. And that would be, obviously, that's above our egoism. That's where we feel the creator. All righty. All right. So let's do number 9 as well. And then we'll rush into the Zohar reading. This is from Rabash as well. It says, to praise you is a delight, meaning we thank and praise you for the good we have received from you. It is as our sages said, one should always praise the Creator and then pray. The reason is that one who believes that the Creator is merciful and gracious and that he desires to do good to the creations has room for prayer. This is why we must first establish the praise of the Creator, meaning a person himself should establish praise of the Creator. This does not mean that the Creator should see that the person is praising him, since the Creator doesn't need people. Rather, the person himself should see the praise of the Creator, and then he can ask him to help him, since his conduct is to do good to his creations. Right? Most of the times, we fail to do that. Right? We just want to straight get to the point with the Creator and go for what we want. Okay? It's not a very nice and polite way to start a conversation with anyone, let alone the Creator as well. So what Rabash wants to tell us is this. If you want to get something from the Creator, first of all, you have to understand that the Creator can do anything and he can give you everything. But we need to have a way to approach the Creator, which means we need to value the attribute of love and bestowal. Not because, like I said, like he says here, this is really nice actually to point out, that sometimes we think that the Creator needs our thanks and praise and so on. The Creator doesn't need anything. The person needs all of that. Okay? Praising the Creator, raising the Creator, means that I am valuing the attribute of love and bestowal above everything else. And if I don't value that, there's no way I can ask for anything, because what I'm supposed to be asking for is to get the attribute of bestowal, right? This is what we want to change into. So how can I ask for something from the Creator if I don't show the Creator this is very valuable to us? Okay, so praising the Creator is really not for the Creator's sake, but it's more like for us, because we want to raise the importance of the attribute of love and bestowal. And this is what we want to get to. This is the attribute we want and we need. We see this as being great. And now I can ask the Creator for bestowal. Right? Does that make sense? Okay, so we've got a question. Ingrid is asking, should one try to bestow to those who don't study Kabbalah? Well, it's a tricky situation, okay? Because when people don't study and you're trying to bestow to them, they might think you're a little weird. All right, and we don't want them to think that, do we? All right, so I mean, obviously we don't want to treat anybody badly, that's for sure, okay? So we try to be good people, but, if you go out of your way, try to bestow to people, they might think, yeah, there's something wrong with this person. It's really important to keep a balance in our spiritual work, also keep a balance in our corporeal life as well. Obviously, if you like doing charity work, if you like helping people and so on, fine. But, we just have to be careful about how it's seen from the outside world, all right? So you just need to be a bit careful. Just think before you do stuff. And if one thinks only about bettering one's relationship in this world, is this ego? Well, it is egoistic initially, but we'd like to do it because the Creator wants us to become, a special creature. The Creator doesn't want us to live like this, like an animal. We're born, we live, we die, end of story. And it's really a waste. It really is, if you think about it. Okay, we have all these years in our life, And what do we have to show for it when we end up dead? Nothing. So we're just like, we're just like chickens walking on two legs as well. Mhm. So it's really worthwhile for us to do something to attain a higher level of existence. So bettering relationships in order to attain a higher perception is initially we start egoistically, but the study will change us into something that is above our egoism. All right. Thank you very much to Ingrid and Isake for their lovely questions. And I do believe we've got a bunch of people today from Holland, Arkansas, US, Florida, Cab U8, USA, Georgia, Michigan, Finland, and and a bunch of friends from here in Turkey as well. All right. Great to see you all. Have a great Zohar session. All the best. Bye-bye.